Well, this is Steve, and I'm here with Wendy Davis. Wendy, we appreciate your time today.
Glad to be here.
Uh, you're running this November for the Allen County Superior Court Judge Criminal Division uh, position.
Right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the race?
Okay. It's a nonpartisan race. Which is very unique. I mean, typically we've got, you're Democrat or you're Republican. You run on a ticket. For judges in Allen County, which is unique to our county, it's nonpartisan. So there's no party affiliation. In fact, I think it's important for people to know if you go in to vote in November, that if you vote straight Democrat or straight Republican, you won't even hit the judges. You've got to flip over to that last page and plug in the judge, preferably Wendy Davis, plug in Wendy Davis for judge. Completely separate and apart from if you were voting straight ticket. And I know a lot of people say, well, I don't vote straight ticket anymore, but that's just something that's a little bit unique to this race. Accordingly, because it's nonpartisan, it's good to have both parties' support.
Okay. Why did you decide to run for judge?
Well, this has been a long time coming. This is not something I just decided the night before, I think I'll go run for judge. I've been a state and federal trial lawyer for 20 years. I grew up in Allen County and got married, and my husband was in the U.S. military for many years, and we were stationed down in Texas. And so when I graduated from law school, I became an assistant criminal district attorney in Texas, later appointed to a federally funded drug and violent crimes task force. So I grew up a prosecutor. I've been a trial lawyer for many years. And actually in Texas, when I was in Texas, that's kind of where I was getting groomed to become a judge. When we moved back here 10 years ago, back to Allen County, due to some of the crimes that I dealt with and my work and trying so many cases, I came to Allen County and went into private practice. To take maybe a little breath after trying so many gang and mafia cases and things like that. And so I came to Beckman Lawson, went into private practice as a defense lawyer, a corporate defense lawyer doing mostly federal litigation, and our elected prosecutor, Karen Richards, and I spoke and was back in the prosecutor's office like that. Took my little sabbatical and couldn't stay away. I think once you have that drive to be in the criminal system and to be a public servant, really, it's kind of in your blood. So this, after 20 years, is kind of the next progression, the next step. All good judges typically come from trial background, trial lawyers. All judges have to be lawyers. And so it's just the next progression. I would like to go back into public service full time. I've enjoyed being here at Beckman Lawson, and I'm a partner here at Beckman Lawson, and my partners are fantastic. But my passion has really driven me to now put my name on the ballot to be the next criminal judge.
Mm-hmm. We've talked a little bit about, before we went on camera, we've talked a little bit about some of the things that you're seeing coming into Fort Wayne. What do you think are some of the things that we need to be looking for that the next perhaps term of whoever is judge will be looking at, kind of cases you'll be deciding and things like that?
We were talking earlier. When I was in Texas, growing up as a prosecutor in Texas while Scott was in the military, there was a lot of organized crime. I mean, and maybe because it was on the border, the mafia was big down there, the Mexican mafia. Which is why they created a federal drug and violent crimes task force that I was appointed to. So I saw a lot of the mafia fueling the really organized gangs. There was a lot of underground in Texas, and so we dealt heavily, and one of my key roles as a prosecutor was to prosecute gang members. And actually the gang members were more on trial than the mafia, because the mafia was a lot of times behind the scenes. But it was the gang members that were committing the violent crimes and the murders and capital crimes and things like that. So I saw that a lot in Texas, real sophisticated organized crime. Interestingly, since I've been back in Fort Wayne, I mean, I grew up here, I don't think we as a general population understand what is going on in Fort Wayne. And I see more of these young kids. I work a lot with the urban community. I work down at Prime Time with Luther Whitfield. I've been talking to Jonathan Ray. In fact, had a meeting just this morning but I'm on an urban task force here in Fort Wayne, and what we are seeing is kids, whether their parents are working or they're a single mom working, trying to support their kids, or a lot of these kids, unfortunately, their parents are locked up or have been in the criminal system. So these kids are on the street now, and it's a progression where they begin to organize. In Fort Wayne, I don't see as much of the sophistication in the organized crime, but I see so much of it starting to happen. And if you talk to individuals like Luther Whitfield or Jonathan Ray and those that I work with, they will tell you that the kids are on the street. They want to find a place. They want to find a place to be. So they are starting to organize a lot more in Allen County. And I think that's concerning because a lot of these kids are young. They learn young. They learn to be a part of something feels good. They learn that being a part of something on the street with a gun in their pocket feels better. They learn that if they pull out that gun, that it makes them bigger, better. It gives them confidence. And I think as a community, we need to be aware those are the first steps kind of in organized crime.
Mm-hmm. Would you, if you were elected as judge, would that be one of the things that you might want to look at is better integration with prevention?
Yes, I am really big on, and I think we were just talking about this. I had a great talk. I look in Allen County, as much as I've been involved with Youth for Christ and United Way and other youth, we have a lot of phenomenal community leaders. Some of them I keep saying the same name. You know, look at Marshall White right now with the Voices of Unity. I mentor one of the girls in his choir, and so I've been real involved with Marshall White and his kids and what he's doing there. But then you look at Luther Whitfield in the Primetime Center down next to Southside, and you know what he's trying to do. You talk to Jonathan Ray. I mean, right now Jonathan Ray is trying to get his summer school program up and running so that these kids have a place to go. I could go on and on and on. I just talked to Sheila Campbell this morning of the SAVE program, which is Students Against Violence. There's so many fantastic people in our community and community leaders that are dedicated to prevention, meaning let's get these kids now before they get in the system. Let's get these kids, let's be a part of the solution to get these kids to do something, because it seems like once they get into the system, it is so hard, as we talked about the recidivism rate, that that's something we need to deal with as a community. And as a judge, I think we need to be really acutely aware of that, because I live in Allen County and I love Allen County. I'm not going anywhere. I mean, obviously I want to go back into public service and be a very good judge, but I really think there's some terrific opportunities for prevention, getting these kids mentored. I mean, there's big brothers and big sisters. I just met with them, and there's so many community things that can be done to prevent these kids, catch them early, catch them young, to grow them up, to be our next leaders, as opposed to they'll go out and find it. They'll go find how to become confident. They'll go find a group of individuals that will make them feel like there's something, when the thing that they're feeling like is just going to get them into the system.
Mm-hmm.